take this property all the way and to the point of completion, and then you sell it. Areas to retail. 3 pieces of advice. No war zones. You don't want to go where someone doesn't want to buy. Someone can qualify for a loan for $100,000 or more. They're not going to want to live next to a crack house. No matter how beautiful you make your house, that crack house next door is just going to affect the marketability of your house. You want to be in areas that are up and coming. It's not going to be an area that's fully mature like a Buckhead or Marietta. For the most part, it's an area where where there are rehabs going on, where there's new construction going on, because you don't want to try to sell a house in a war zone where you fix the house up all nice and pretty, and then either your work gets torn down, or bless you, or you can't sell it because there's too much activity going on in the area. But you can't expect to get a perfect area, an area where there's, you just happen to find this rehab house in Buckhead and fix it up on average. So in order to be consistent, you need areas that are up and coming, like your East Atlantas, your East Lakes. I'll give you a list of areas that are up and coming, which are the best places to retail. But you want to look for new construction in an area, because if there's new homes coming into that area and there are rehabs going on in that area, then more than likely you found a good area, because people are going to have to live. They're going to have to want to live in that area. You can't expect to sell a house to someone just because it's going to be a nice house. If you're going to rent a house out, that's different. But to turn around and retail a house to someone who's going to live in that house and make it their home, you have to make sure that it's in a good area. Let's talk about retailing, profitability, and why should you retail. Retailing, the transactions are going to be bigger. Your dollar amounts are going to be bigger. Your risk is going to be a little bit bigger. So your profit, therefore, should be bigger. If you average $25,000 per property and you do one every couple months or 6 a year, then that's an extra $150,000 for just 6 deals. So you got a bigger bang for your buck, a little bit more intricate process involved, but the profit potential per deal is higher. Keys to successful retailing business. They're similar to the keys for the wholesaling business. You got to find deals. You got to be able to estimate repairs. But you also got to find and qualify your buyers. Same thing with wholesaling, but it's a little different process. And you got to have a system for doing business. The key element in this, all of them are important, but one of the most important things is being able to estimate repairs and work with the contractors. Anybody in here a contractor? Anybody, family member, a contractor? Distant cousin of a contractor? Anything? Distant cousin? Okay. Well, I guess I could talk about it then. Contractors are kind of like tenants. If any of you have ever had tenants or employees, not mine. Mine are the best, in case they're listening outside the door. But contractors are an interesting animal, and they must be managed as such. I've had contractors that have been awesome, line by line, everything they needed to do, they did. I've had other contractors that have, run off to Tahiti with $2,000 or somewhere, So it's important that you know how to manage a contractor before you get into a rehab situation. Contractors can make or break your rehab project because they're the ones basically helping you create the equity. Because what you're doing is you're taking a house that's down in the dumps that needs some work, whether it be paint, carpet, or everything, and that contractor is your partner in taking that house to a retailable level. With that contractor doing well and doing what they're supposed to do, then your rehab is perfect. It's wonderful. But, if that contractor is like a couple that I've dealt with. I had a contractor that, you know, said, I can do everything. I can do, you know, your paint. I can do your carpet. I can do your drywall. I can do all this, and my prices are cheap. You know, prices are cheap. You know, and he getting a rehab job halfway through. Everything he did was wrong. You know, he paint, you know, was all messed up. Used the wrong color paint. Used everything. You know, so you got to be careful. I've also had contractors who have, you know, advertised themselves as quality, dependable, honest, you know, with integrity, and then turned around and ran away with money. So the key to working with contractors are these three things. I learned this the hard way. I'll share this with you. And this is going to be key to you in any rehab project. You got to find one that can manage him or herself. You got to find one that you don't have to babysit. I had a contractor one time where they would say, I'm hungry. I need some food. I was like, well, you need to go to the store and get you some food. But they were like, no, I need you to get me some food because I don't have any money until I get paid for this job. So can I have an advance? And you start getting in all kinds of issues when you're basically babysitting a contractor. You don't want to do that. Find one that can manage himself or herself. You need an agreement with penalty clauses for non-timely work, because you don't want to deal with a contractor that keeps dragging a project on and on and on and on, no penalty. And number 3 is the big one. Always check their references and view some of their previous work. And make sure that you're viewing their previous work. That is not, you don't want to find a contractor, oh yeah, I did this house, and you know. So make sure the references match the rehabs. They say, I did so-and-so Miss Smith's house on 123 Smith Street. And you go to 123 Smith Street and you see that it's been rehabbed. So always check the references, because contractors, like I said, can make or break your deal. And I'm going to give you a my top 10 list in this market, Atlanta. Top 10 places in Atlanta to rehab retail properties. It's extra special gift. I'll give this to everybody. You're welcome. And the reason why these areas are listed, and these aren't the only areas, mind you, but these are the best areas. Because in these areas you've got, you know, Decatur, Lithonia, Stone Mountain, East Point, and Riverdale are pretty stable communities, but they've still got older homes that need rehab. So people will flock to areas that are stable, where there's good schools that are decent, and that are communities. And you have a lot of that in Lithonia, Stone Mountain, East Point, Riverdale, and Decatur, College Park too. In the East Atlanta, East Lake, Mosley Park areas, what you've got is a lot of regentrification, which is a fancy word to say rehab going on. A lot of investor activity where people are kind of coming back into those areas that have lived out in the northern suburbs and are now coming back and want to be close to work. In terms of repairs, this is important to know, is that for retail repairs, the repairs are going to be more than if you were renting a property out. A lot of people wouldn't tell you this and just throw out generic numbers, but you always need to keep in mind that if you're taking a property to a level where someone's going to buy it and live in it, bring their family in, then you're going to want to know that they're going to want repairs, you know, not specialty repairs or anything like that, but it's going to be a higher level than rental. On average, you know, it's probably 20% more than a rental.